back to the BookEnds YouTube channel. I'm James McGowan.
I'm Jessica Faust.
We are literary agents who have taken our popular blog to YouTube to discuss all things publishing. We're being motivational today, folks.
I love it. We're fired up.
We have got a feather in our cap. We're ready to go. So it's no secret that last year was, well, the past 18 months really were not easy 18 months. It's been an incredibly difficult year for many or most, and we are all still kind of chugging along, right? Publishing didn't stop. We didn't really get the chance to stop. So we want to talk a little bit about the benefits of continuing moving forward and sort of how we know it can be hard, but how beneficial it really is to just keep chugging along when you can.
Yeah.
I feel like people have found real success in the last year, right? Like,
yeah, oh, definitely. I mean, from a BookEnds perspective, in 2020 was our best year to date in terms of sales. We have sold a number of debut authors in the past 18 months. We've sold a number of published authors. We've continued their careers. We've had authors hit the bestseller list for the first time. So, I mean, life is going on, right? Publishing continues. And actually the good news in publishing that we're seeing is that people are still buying more books. So, it was something not surprising in the middle of the lockdown to find that people were reading more and buying more books, but it's exciting to see that that has continued as people are returning to a busier life. Yeah,
I mean, just personally speaking too, this year so far has been my best year as an agent too. Like, and when this whole thing started back last March, our first meeting really remote, right? When everybody was on Zoom, our first meeting, you said to us, it's gonna be hard. Like, we don't know how long this is gonna last. This is gonna be hard. Take the breaks you need, take care of yourself and your family, but the best thing we can do is continue working.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been a big believer in just keep going on and doing and keep up the work. And it's one of the things we discussed as an agency a lot, that there was nothing we could do. We were in the middle of a pandemic. The world was in lockdown, but there was also, we did have some control, and that was keep going. And the one belief I really had is that publishing is not going to die out, that people will still buy books. And the books we sell today are published 2 years from now or a year from now. So if we all stop working, that means 2 years from now, we have no books to publish. Well, that's not going to happen.
That means 2 years from now, nobody's getting paid.
Right. And so that just didn't make sense. It was not a sustainable business model, right? So at some point, everybody was going to have to dive back in and start buying and selling books. And they did. There is this, so coaches, all good sports coaches, when they coach a running game, like football, or a skating game like hockey, or our cross-country coaches, one of the habits that they teach their athletes is keep your head up. Look to where you want to be. Don't look at your feet. Don't look behind you. Keep looking forward. And that's how faster athletes get faster. And I believe that habit works in life too. If we had sat down and looked at our feet, if we had been so busy looking behind us at what used to be, we wouldn't be where we are today, because we kept looking forward at what the next steps were and what we could be doing. And we believe and talk a lot about how writers need to do the same thing when they're querying.
Yeah.
But go on.
No, I was just going to say, like, of course, we started off with a heavy topic, right? The pandemic, and it feels very like grand in the scheme of things. But I think there's something, I mean, I've learned a ton from that experience, right? In terms of not just pandemics, like not just keep going in the face of a pandemic, but really in the face of rejection, in the face of like transition periods, and all of the things that an author on their own personal career scale will experience in their time from starting to write. Like, struggling with a scene, right? Like no matter how small to how big, that mantra really does help sort of push you through.
Yeah, and it can really, I have seen writers, I think sometimes there's this belief that writers are really fragile, and when they hit really tough times, writer's block comes in and there's no way you can write during these tough times. But I have personally experienced and seen some of my own clients write their greatest books in their toughest times.
Yep.
That's not going to happen to everybody. And there have been plenty of people during these past months who haven't been able to write, but there were plenty of others who have put out their best work.
Yeah.
And we do talk about that in querying. One of the mistakes in terms of, not moving forward that we see authors make, especially in the querying process, is not letting go of that first book. And it's funny that we're talking about this today, because I just did a query speakeasy last night. And one of the conversations we had was about this exact topic. What do you do while you're querying? And what you and I have always discussed and always pushed with authors is you write that next book and you put that first one away. You stop trying to work it and you start working something new. You move forward, you look ahead.
Well, we said with, not with last March, we didn't want to stop because then we wouldn't have books in a year and a half, right? Like, but also that money and books coming out is not the only thing that gets paused when you do stop, right? Your motivation stops, your momentum stops. You could really be chugging along at a novel with a goal, and then you just hit a wall, and stopping and just sort of giving up.
Yeah.
You're never going to get it done, right? So like your motivation is perhaps the most important thing, because there is no money without that initial motivation.
Yeah.
So any pause, any break, especially in querying, when you're not getting responses and you're like, well, I'll just wait for the rest of these then, or just kind of twiddling your thumbs waiting for responses, or you got a bunch of bad rejections and you need like to bomb it or something. Like all of that pausing depletes motivation, and it depletes like that drive to achieve what you want.
Yeah, and we definitely believe in rest. I mean, we really try hard at BookEnds to encourage and support downtime. I mean, vacation should be vacation. There should not be email. There should not be work texts. There should not be Slack during vacation. We're not all great at it. Actually, all of us are mostly terrible at it, but we try, and we respect those boundaries as a team, so that I don't expect when people are on vacation that they should be logging in. And if you do, you often get yelled at by everybody else, which is always kind of fun for the rest of us. But, to use myself as an example again, I've been a regular kettlebell lifter for a lot of years now. And just this last